Hello, and welcome to another Wearing Hats Saying Things podcast, the podcast that loves irony and hates terrible intros. Absolutely painless. I'm Connor Coulthorpe, as always. This is Hats Indoors, episode 3. How is everyone doing? Before I start, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone for your support on the last video I did called ADHD, where I opened up about my own ADHD, and it was just so overwhelming. Some of the messages that I received and the support I got, I really wasn't expecting that many. So a massive thank you to you guys, and I'm really glad that you all enjoyed that. And we're interested in what I had to say about it, actually. I think that was the main thing, that everyone learned something and was quite interested. So yeah, thank you so much. And if you didn't see that episode, then do check it out. I'm going to put it in the description below. If you're on YouTube, this is, so yeah, do go and have a look. Otherwise, it'll be on all our socials, so go and check it out. But apart from that, I hope you're keeping safe and well in these, I don't even know what to call it anymore, but it's just still continuously strange and quite remarkable bit of history that we're currently living through. But we keep on fighting the good fight, especially all those key workers who are constantly doing an amazing job. We salute you. It will be a relief and a huge weight off some people's shoulders when this is all over. And speaking of weight, you've no doubt noticed the title. I'll be talking about weight today. So I got the idea because I was out in the garden lifting a heavy weight. So a dumbbell was basically my inspiration for this episode. But I kind of want to talk about this because this is a topic that I think means something different to every single person for whatever reason. Sometimes it might even be a taboo subject for some people. I think it's important to address it at this current point in time when people are more likely to be self-reflecting at the moment and have more time on their hands and less distraction for their brains, possibly if anyone who's been furloughed or is just maybe even working from home and isn't getting out as much as they would usually. But I also don't think some things perhaps help, like modern day technology or how the media portray weight has helped people in this current generation. Looking at the likes of social media, TV shows, there's probably a couple that spring to mind there. So I'll be talking about that, and I'll be looking at an unrecognised medical condition which I did a lot of research on last year called Orthorexia Nervosa, as well as talking about just a few of my own personal endeavours with my weight growing up. So all that to come, but first, something that weighs very little, my hat. So this hat today is probably my favourite hat. It's the one I wear the most. It's been about. She's a bit of a schleg. She's come with me to all the festivals. It's the North Face hat, if you're wondering what brand or anything it is. It's says since 1968 on the back. It's a navy cap, navy 5-panel with a North Face logo on the front, also in white. Not also in white, it's navy with a white logo. It's got obviously little hole marks, so it's breathable. It's a bit dusty because of all the festivals and all the places I've taken it to. As I say, she's been about. But it's a nice hat. I really rate this hat. I take it with me to anywhere, even if I go on holiday in a hot country, that is where I take it. So that is my hat for today. She's a good one. You can obviously see that in the title screen right now. Anyway, moving on to today's episode, all about weight. So I said that this topic is one that means something different to everyone. So I'm going to start by talking about what it means to me. So to me, weight isn't really an issue right now on the whole. Obviously we all have goals and ambitions we want to achieve with our weight and how we look, which is great, and obviously because it gives people like me a target to push for, and probably people like you as well. But I'm overall fairly content. I mean, if you don't know me or don't know what I look like, I'm quite slender, slim body. I've just realised this sort of sounds like I'm doing like a dating website profile for a middle-aged woman. Like, hi, I'm Brenda. I'm 38. I'm slender and I got double D's. But no, I don't know why I did that. I'm quite a slim build, I'd say though, and have been, always have been really. But when I was younger, I did a ton of sport. So I say a lot of sport. I did loads of sport and exercise. I was really fit and healthy in that respect. and was sort of doing everything right, but I was literally as skinny as a rake, like so skinny. And I'm sure there was like a couple of people who also like me who just, like I guess boy-wise, who just did, probably girls as well, who just did a lot of sport or were very active and therefore were just pretty skinny. Like I had such a high metabolism, and I still kind of do, but I could literally eat as much as I wanted and I'd never put it on, which is probably some people being like, oh, you lucky shit, but I hated it. I wanted to put on weight. I didn't want to be this skinny little guy. Like I wanted to have some meat on me. But yeah, I was pretty self-conscious about how skinny I was. And when you're in secondary school and you're in the changing rooms getting ready for the old phys ed, for the swimming lessons, things like that, and not being able to hide your body, like it can kind of be a bit hard to embrace at times. And this is like even when you consider that most people would never say anything, and obviously anyone judging your weight like that would have to be a complete arsehole. But psychologically, you feel ashamed for not sort of to be fitting into this perception or stereotype of yours and everyone else's views. And this was before things like Instagram came in, which I will talk about in a minute. But I was probably still not properly content with my weight until I was about 19 or so. But by this point I was starting to learn much more about weight than I previously had, just on the whole, in general. So I had a family relative who suffered with anorexia before, and huge credit to them for how they persisted in their recovery, because for me, out of every mental disorder I've ever witnessed, obviously I was saying about my ADHD last week's episode, like anorexia is the most vicious and dangerous one I think I've ever seen. Like it's almost scary how damaging it can be and how hard it is to recover from it. So I've seen almost firsthand how destructive things with weight can be on both a mental and a physical level. And when you think of weight, the first thing that comes to mind is the physical attributes, obviously. But I think it's the mental side sometimes that people seem to lose sight of, particularly when it comes to things like social media. Now, social media is great for so many things on so many levels, and to be honest, that's kind of evident at the moment, with one example being, like say, that 555 challenge, like the run 5k, donate £5, nominate 5 people. It creates awareness, it's good. It creates like a movement for some people, like a voice for a lot of people, it's great. But away from that, things on Instagram can be sort of subconsciously damaging. Take looking at influencers, for example. Now, I'm not about to go and slate social media influencers, however annoying or silly you think they might be. It's a living for them, and like the biggest ones you're seeing online are making an absolute killing off of it. And not gonna lie, I think the majority of us probably would do it if we were offered a paycheck like that. Like, I mean, come on, like I think I probably would. But it can subconsciously affect people's self-image and in turn their self-worth, because I feel it's so easy to compare yourself to others on there even when you're not meaning to. And obviously there's like TV shows now like Love Island, which glamorise and glorify a particular body type, and by that I mean just outrageously ripped lads or really toned lasses. Obviously no discredit to them at all. They've clearly worked hard for what they've got, but after a while, when you've been watching the show for weeks on end, you could argue that a lot of self-comparison takes place for that, amongst that target audience that they're aiming at. So I actually read an article recently with someone called Alex Light in the article, who spreads awareness about body image on Instagram. And she was saying about the show, which I thought was quite interesting, that the people on there are not a normal cross-section of society. And the reason I thought that was interesting was because, maybe because what we're seeing, or maybe what is going on in our heads, is that is the norm. That's representative of society, but it's not. Which in some cases could be a young person's naivety compared with the older generation, like our parents, who aren't as easily influenced, I guess, because they've lived longer, they've been about. So yeah, obviously we all know how damaging it can be. I don't think I've told you too much new information in terms of that, and obviously there is so many arguments to suggest that social media is such a good thing. I'm not slating social media at all in that respect. Like, there's arguments for and against it, and a lot of research done into it, but I am going to enlighten you on a not yet recognised mental disorder called Orthorexia Nervosa, which I did a lot of research on last year for my graduate project at uni. And the interesting thing about it is that orthorexia is an obsession with healthy eating, which obviously you think healthy eating, that's a good thing though, right? Like, that can't be bad. And it links a lot from anorexia and OCD, which is obviously where the obsession with the healthy eating, I guess, comes from. And when I was doing this research, I went and I spoke with a lady called Uxley. She owns a food psychology clinic in London, is an expert on these types of mental disorders and things to do with weight and food. And she says someone who suffers from orthorexia excludes foods they feel comfortable eating to the point where the diet they sustain themselves on is incredibly restrictive, so they're not getting enough from their diet essentially, and they're ruling out a lot of foods groups to the point where they're only surviving on like a couple of different foods. So that could just be like a couple of bits of fruit or something like that, which is something I learned from going and visiting a couple of people who had suffered with it. They just ruled out all these different types of things for having different different sugars in, different fats in, just it could be absolutely anything. I also asked her what some of the main causes of orthorexia were, and she said genetics and how an individual grow up play a role, but she actually thinks that culture and social media play a huge role as well in the development of conditions like this. So these would all fall under predisposing factors, but I think it links to the comparisons people make on weight in day-to-day life. And I guess this is especially if you become fully immersed in things you see on mainstream media or social media. And when I actually also said to me, people can be influenced when they see this person portrayed as perfect online, cutting certain foods out of their diet and getting information from these people who aren't specialists or trained in the field. And obviously for someone who's just looking online, it can be a bit confusing to them, and for them to know what's best for them. So realistically, I think the only person who knows what's best for yourself and your weight and your health and your lifestyle is you. Nobody can tell you what size or shape you should be, and collectively we shouldn't feel the need to fit a certain stereotype or this perfect weight. It's great obviously to exercise and keep your body healthy as you can, because obviously that will always give you the best chance health wise and probably give you a longer lifespan. But if you're trying to lose weight, gain weight, wherever it may be, it should be for your own benefit, with your own aspirations and goals, without feeling like you need to compare yourself to anyone else out there. And I'm going to leave you with that for today. I didn't want to come across too much like an inspirational coach at the end there or whatever. So, you don't need to listen to me, obviously. I'm just giving kind of my thoughts on it and trying to summarise it best I can. This entire topic, really. But I've done my research because I wanted to make sure I wasn't feeding you lies. See what I did there? But hopefully I've given you a good insight on that. I've tried to be quite unbiased throughout as well. But if you have enjoyed this episode, then we always appreciate you sharing our content with others. If you like what you hear, follow our Instagram and SoundCloud pages. Give us a like on Facebook. That's Wearing Hats, saying things for all of those. And obviously, if you're listening on YouTube, then please subscribe to us as well. It really means a lot. In the meantime, I'll see you soon for another episode of Hats Indoors. A big hats off to you, and have a good one. See you later.